Hi everybody, and this is where we're looking, just so you know, up in the upper right hand corner. Hey everybody, it's Karen. Karen Anderson with Aortic Hope. I'm just going to blah 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 for a while till I see that we're actually live. I know we're building the audience right now, but welcome to Aortic Live's event, our Q&A live event. Before I get into that, just want to preface and let you know I'm a little down in the weather today, but I love you all so much that I still showed up, temperature and all, and I'm here. And we want to talk a little bit about our Tableside initiative is so underway right now. We're going to have such great announcements coming with our new Hope ambassadors that we've brought on board that are going to be working really hard for us to get the word out and to get some awareness out to everybody. Hope Mail is a little behind because I've been a little under the weather, but we will be mailing Hope Mail out either by the end of this week or the very beginning of next week, and that will include anybody who was in need of some hope in the month of March as well. So if you've not done that yet, please go onto the link on our webpage and sign up for Hope Mail, especially if you could just use a little bit of hope. We've got some really super wonderful items now on board that we can send to you. We are in the beginning stages of putting together some information for our September event in honor of Global Aortic Awareness Day, so that will be presented to you also in the next couple weeks. We actually have quite a lot of things going on right now in an Aortic Hope world. Meg's getting ready to go on the trail in June, and I'm probably forgetting a lot of things because that's how much we have going on. And there's some other secret stuff too that I cannot tell you about yet, but we have some really exciting stuff that's in the woodworks. So as we're building an audience and as some of you are joining, I don't like to take any time and waste it. So we're going to get started, and you guys can always join in with us as you are able to. But we are here today, and it's Moran or Moran?
Yes,
Moran.
my name's Katie Moran.
We're here with Katie Moran at one of my favorite places, Spa on the Boulevard in Abingdon, Maryland. And I'm going to let her kick it off and tell you a little bit about herself. But we are talking about ways to reduce stress. And as you know, stress is the number one cause for an increase in blood pressure. And for all of us out there, keeping our blood pressure down at that 130 and below number is very key critical. And yes, we all take a lot of medications, and that's not necessarily so great, but this is a great way to be able to reduce stress. It's one of my favorite ways, and I believe in my own personal therapy like this, my own massage therapy and integrative health and wellness. So I'm going to let you take it away, Katie. Why don't you go ahead and tell everybody a little bit about yourself and your background, and then we'll get started.
Okay, great. I've been doing massage therapy for the past 5 years. I was introduced to the healing and wellness field when my mom recovered from a very traumatic car accident, and she went through a variety of traditional modalities and therapies, treatments to help her recover, but the only thing that seemed to work was integrative manual therapy, which is a holistic approach to full body wellness, body, mind, spirit, treating everybody as one organism, one multi-dimensional being. So I like to work integratively with everything that I do, and that goes for every modality that I am trained in as well. So a massage for me is usually 2 modalities at least at once at all times. I'm also a Reiki master, so bringing in light energy to facilitate the highest amount of healing that I possibly can for people is just a baseline strategy for facilitating that healing balance in everybody. And that's something that can be done from a distance as well, because it's a frequency, it's an energy, it's something that allows us to connect on a very energetic, subtle level. But I think at that subtle level, there's a lot of magic and healing that can happen. I say magic in a very broad sense. I don't mean that it's literally magic, but it's definitely something that feels nice. And when we feel better, we treat people better, we are able to look better in our skin, and when we look better and feel better, it just it creates harmony, not just for us, but for the people around us too. So that's kind of the whole goal behind why I do what I do. I like to make the world a better place every time I put my hands on somebody, or even just go out in public. A smile can help, heal somebody in a way that you probably don't understand. So massage therapy gets very, very specific in, increasing circulation, decreasing stress, because we're releasing all sorts of endorphins, and we're increasing the range of motion, which increases the amount of activities that we can do in our lives, which also help us to feel better. All of these things are stress reducing, because when we're able to live without restriction, it just feels like we have more freedom. And when we have more freedom, we're more likely to follow our dreams, experience love, experience bliss, and that's the kind of world that I want to live in, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And what you were talking about, a lot of times with us as survivors, we lose control over a lot of things that we can do. Once we've had doctors in our chests or managing us medically, and we're sometimes held hostage to the rules and regulations that they put in place. And I think that being able to come to a therapist such as yourself, we're able to give up that sensation of feeling like we're hostage to all of that medicinal treatment that we're undergoing, and just really release ourselves. I know I don't usually talk like this, but you know what I'm saying. It is a release, and I will say, just for myself, the very first time, it was probably the second or third time, and I think I'd come to see you after having surgery. It was a while because I was very uncomfortable. And before we even go any further, these therapies we're going to talk about are all things, if you're interested, you really need to talk to your doctor and get clearance, because sometimes if you're fresh out of having surgery, it's not very comfortable to lay on your back. It's not necessarily approved to have your sternum spread backwards like that, and sometimes it's uncomfortable laying on your chest. And I know that Katie could probably work with other positions like they would with a pregnant woman. You can lay on your side, but have your doctor approve everything. These are just mere suggestions to bring blissfulness to your life. But when I came to see you within enough time after my therapy, I actually think I remember, I don't think I cried in front of you, but I actually got very emotional. It was an emotional connection, and it was the first time I actually could relax, and I fell asleep, and I didn't have nightmares, and my mind wasn't racing thinking about death and dying and did I take my medicines. I actually listened to Enya. I followed every movement that you made, and it was a release, and it was such a wonderful, amazing moment to feel like myself and to feel physically good and to feel emotionally good. So talking about massage therapy, you've just mentioned it's good for circulation. You had also talked about releasing toxins. So talk a little bit more about massage therapy in itself.
Well, I'm very glad that you had that experience.
I did. Thank you.
I consider it an honor and a privilege to work with people in this way. And she's right. If you've just had surgery, folks, you need your doctor's written permission to get on my table, or probably any massage therapist that's licensed. But it is a very effective way to bring balance back into your life. And you have so many tools available now. It just sometimes takes a little bit of research because of what you said with, the traditional conservative medical community. There's not a lot of this bliss talk.
Right.
So it is definitely a challenge to open up your mind to get on the other side of it. But it's interesting because the further and further we do research, and I have a tremendous amount of respect for the earth, but I also have a tremendous amount of respect for modern medical research. There's a lot to be said for how far we've come, and we've made technological advancements that we never thought would be possible. So all of this can be integrated into one package. These modalities that I discuss are complementary. it's not a one or the other sort of thing. I love working with doctors and healthcare practitioners of all kinds. I love hearing from physicians to hear about how the progress is going on their side of things. And I love communicating with chiropractors and, physical therapists and everybody out there that's doing the same sort of stuff, just from a different angle. And everybody has a different comfort zone. So it might not be, Reiki all at once. It might not be massage therapy all at once. Mm-hmm. And I do other stuff too. I just started with those two modalities. I'm also a Ayurvedic yoga therapist, which I'm able to send yoga home specifically for you as your medicine. So I take a look at the condition. I address what's going on as far as the musculoskeletal issues, as far as what's going on with blood flow, if we have a detox condition, if we're going to be, grounding rather than opening, or, stabilizing versus increasing flexibility. That sort of thing is very specific to the yoga practice, and the moving arts is a huge way to do this for yourself at home in between sessions. And that's just another door to take if that's something that interests you. Another thing is aromatherapy. So treating through all the senses. So we talked about touch. Mm-hmm. We talked about the connection that we all have innately with our consciousness. Mm-hmm. And now we're talking about moving arts. We're talking about the aromatic qualities.
And this is something that's been around for...
People have been using essential oils since the beginning of medicine. Mm-hmm. And it's actually where all of our pharmaceuticals started. They all sort of sprouted from, these botanicals mm-hmm. that have healing properties. It's clinically proven on such a large scale, but there's no way to put a control over botanicals because, mm-hmm. We can grow it. Right. We can grow our own mm-hmm. medicine. We can make our own medicine. Mm-hmm. It's just a matter of educating yourself in what it's doing for you. So the stuff that we're cooking with, so now we're talking about eating, we can ingest basil, oregano, peppermint, stuff that is amazing for different digestive issues. Mm-hmm. We can take a smell of lavender or ylang ylang, and that relaxation is from a neurologic response.
And that's when I was going to ask you about that, because I think a lot of times when you go to the spa and they say, do you want aromatherapy? I think most people say, oh, well, that sounds good, or that smells good, and I like peppermint. They just pick it, and they're so unaware of sometimes why they pick. And I think one time you did this with me. You had me smell, mm-hmm. and it was just my initial gut instinct on what I smelled meant. It really related to what I really needed that day. And not a lot of people realize as the smell's happening that the relaxation's coming with it, or the nasal passages are opening because of eucalyptus. They're
right.
just, this sounds good, and it's a spa, and so it's part of the fluffy therapy, but there's so much more to it.
There's so much more to it, and you're absolutely right. We're guided to the things that are good for us. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we're guided to the things that are bad for us, but then we're talking treatment with homeopathy. But I want to stay on something that is just purely organic. I mean, you think about, eating your medicine or smelling your medicine. We see in dogs, for example, when they're sick, they go outside and they eat grass. Mm-hmm. That's very, very, instinctual. Mm-hmm. So I don't think that we're going to get even further away from the baseline of that. I think that with all of the technological medical advancements, we're actually starting to loop back around, and people are starting to realize that the more whole foods and the more natural, organic substances that we're either coating our hair and our face, and the more natural ingredients that we're putting in ourselves, on ourselves, and nurturing our babies with, the more whole our cells will be as we go through every day. I mean, our cells are constantly regenerating. Every couple years, I think they say we have like a whole new body except for the heart. So you have to take care of the heart. That's the one thing that, is the miracle. That's the one miracle.
So if someone came in for a massage, okay, so let's just say we're somebody and we've been cleared after a surgery, or we've been cleared after an event, and a lot of the doctors are into the integrative. They do talk about acupuncture. It's one thing I do hear a lot about. Some are talking more and more about reflexology, and we can talk about that in a minute. But if somebody gets cleared and they're actually going to come to a spa, if there's ever any of you out there who have not been, which I find that fascinating, but if there are, what would be something that you think would be a great thing someone could ask for? And if they're going to add in aromatherapy, what could they add and why? What are they going to benefit?
So as a baseline, if you haven't seen an Ayurvedic practitioner and you don't know what dosha you are, tridoshic oils that benefit everybody include lavender, clary sage, or frankincense.
Okay.
Those are 3 amazing oils that are just not going to do any harm.
I know lavender relaxes or is calming.
Yes, lavender is relaxing, it's calming, it opens the heart, and it facilitates that connection, that hope feeling within our consciousness as humans.
Okay.
So clary sage is very cleansing. Sage is something that we traditionally burn to get rid of negative energy. It's just a very nice tradition from the Native American lineage, and that just sort of clears the air with the intention of clearing the air.
Okay.
But there's a lot of other things we can go to about that, and I know that's not our topic today.
We can get there maybe another day.
Maybe another day, yeah. But then frankincense is, just amazing. I can't say enough good things about it. I have a IMT Wellness puts together a beautiful frankincense and sesame blend, and it is really very beneficial for a lot of different things. Everything from a burn to a sty, a tooth infection.
Wow.
I use it on my skin if I have a breakout. You can put it in the bath. There's a lot of different ways to use frankincense. That's one of the 3 holy gifts. So that was a big one. But if you do know what dosha you are, aromatherapies that are good for balancing vata would be sweet and spicy. So cinnamon, ylang ylang, sandalwood. Something that would be good to balance the pitta dosha would be something...
So you might need to back up to and explain what the doshas are.
Okay. So do you want me to finish?
Yeah, go ahead and then explain the doshas.
So something to balance the pitta dosha would be something sweet and cooling. So something like geranium, peppermint, those sorts of things. And then kapha is balanced by something that's spicy and hot. So like clove or patchouli, stuff like that. So when I say dosha, that's another Ayurvedic term. I think a lot of people in the next couple years are going to be learning more about Ayurveda because it makes sense. We're going back to before traditional China. We're going back to the basic elements and how to treat in a way that's specific to each person within their comfort zone. Through any of the senses, like I said earlier, there's aromatherapy, there's sight therapy, there's sound therapy, there's touch, movement-based therapy, and then, of course, what we eat, nutrition. But the doshas are an organizational tool to define, in terms of diagnostics, which elements help to balance and imbalance each individual. And that's something that I'm going to be talking about locally in the next few months. I'm putting together some really fun workshops, one of them being Introduction to Ayurveda. And then I'll be teaching a Vata-specific class, a Kapha-specific class, and a Pitta-specific class. Yeah. I look forward to it.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
So if someone's going to go for a massage, maybe just start off with your basic Swedish and see if you can add in lavender or
clary sage or frankincense. Yeah,
just
those
one
are
of the
great
three.
starter, baseline, tridoshic things. If you're uncomfortable with the naked thing, which a lot of people actually are, and it's a little bit, uncomfortable for a lot of people to talk about even, coming to a spa doesn't mean you have to do that. You can get a Reiki session and keep all of your clothes on. We can even do a massage, for 30 minutes with all of your clothes on, and you can still get a great benefit. And if that's still, a little bit, I don't want anybody touching my body sort of thing, maybe start with a hand or foot massage, because like with reflexology, we're accessing the points in the feet that send a neuro impulse up through the nervous system and affect the organs that coincide with those healing zones. So you're getting the full benefit of a full body massage without having to be touched in those areas.
Well, and I will say, as a personal testament to foot reflexology, I went to a therapist one time, and when they were finished doing my feet, which a true reflexology session is not necessarily the most comfortable.
They're not always pleasant.
It was like a metal spoke that just pushed into these points on my feet, and she asked me if I suffered from any GI distress. And I did not mention on my forms that I had Crohn's disease or I was having any issues, but she picked up on it right away. And I will say that I was going to a reflexologist for a while, and I did not have any flares in that time period that I was seeing that practitioner. So I don't call that coincidence. I call that a direct connection to where they knew where they were pushing. And I was actually told not to go after I ate. So I had to go before I ate. It was very specific instruction. So I will say that I find it relaxing, even though it's a little jarring at first, the first time you have it done, if you're expecting this foot massage and it's not necessarily a massage, but I found it to be very beneficial.
Absolutely. You can tell so much about a person and their health by their feet. I think that it starts from the ground up, folks. So if we're wearing shoes that aren't exactly beneficial to our stability, it might be time to rethink that. So like our beautiful high heels, oh my gosh.
Not anymore.
Not anymore,
Right.
But if you have a good orthotic, I always recommend a custom-made orthotic. Soul Supports is an amazing company that allows people like myself or, a physical therapist to be able to mold your foot into a piece of foam. You send the piece of foam off to a factory, and they give you an insole that you can put in any shoe, including your high heels.
That's great. That's great. And that saves your back as well.
It does.
Keeps
It
it
does.
stable.
Everything stacks up on the feet. So if something is wrong with the foot, everything that stacks up on it, musculoskeletally speaking, is going to be compensating for that thing that's closest to the ground. So if I have a problem in my foot, then I might have a problem in my ankle in a year because I'm compensating because I'm walking weird. And then if that happens, then it's going to be the knee, and then the hip, and then the spine, and then the neck, and then I have headaches, and there's just so many things that can get offset by one thing or the other. And that doesn't always have to be musculoskeletal, because like I said earlier, I'm treating people multi-dimensionally. This can be a trigger from something emotional that we involuted, that we trapped inside of our organ systems and didn't have the proper care or tools or time, folks, to process.
Speaking about that, a lot of people who have had dissections or have had open heart surgery or not, have experienced PTSD to some
Yes.
level, especially if it was an emergent situation. So tell me about clients that you've had that have come in with PTSD. What are you finding would be great modalities for them? What kind of services work really well? Because I would think sometimes just even the process of relaxing can trigger something because your mind has that opportunity to relax.
Integrative manual therapy has the most profound bodywork protocol for PTSD that I've ever seen in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't even have to be something super traumatic. It can be, you can hold on to PTSD energy your entire life.
Mm-hmm.
And it can eat away energetically at something internal and then cause one of those circumstances where you're compensating and then you have a symptom. And that symptom might not always be the same localized spot as, where this energy got trapped in here. And for releasing that, in a just very general term, I would say the subtle energy work is the way to go with that. Tapping into your consciousness, having an open heart, having an open mind, and just letting it be so that we can let it go, because this stuff is so deep for us. Mm-hmm. And I mean, you can pass it on to your kids. Mm-hmm. You can inherit this stuff. I mean, if our cells are made up of our energy, which they are, it's not just food, it's emotion and soul and, all that good stuff that isn't measurable necessarily. It definitely has the ability to affect the people in our lives. But what was I saying? I'm all over the place.
No, we were talking about the PTSD, and you were talking about letting it go, and it made me remember our last session together, where I did
Shirodara.
I don't know.
Service that opens the third eye, which is midbrain, and then cleanses the third eye with a warm oil stream.
Okay, so in my language, what that meant to me is I was going to have hot liquid poured on the center of my forehead and drip down my hair, and it was going to feel good. That's about what I thought. But between the hot stones on my chest and I was told to hold the hot stones, and then if it brought up any emotions, to give it to the stones. Mm-hmm. And so I closed my eyes. I'm like, give it to the stones. I don't know what this means.
Mother Earth will take care of it.
I'm like, I'm giving it to the stones. I just want to feel the liquid in my hair. Well, do you remember what happened in that session? So when we were done, I was asked, did I think anything? Did I feel anything? And it was very interesting because initially when the liquid was being poured on my head, I found I couldn't catch my breath. I felt a little claustrophobic, and I started having flashbacks of being in the hospital. And not that I remember being on the heart-lung machine or the breathing machine, but that's what it felt like I was underwater and I couldn't breathe. And yet I knew I was laying on a table, and it was this wonderful sensation. And I quickly did what she said. I'm like, give it to the stones, give it to the stones. That's good. I don't know what to do, but I'm going to give it to the stones. I don't know what that means. But I just started focusing on these stones and feeling the feel. It was almost like a bizarre EMDR therapy. It was something else I had to focus on constantly.
Well, sure, that
and
awareness changed.
Yeah, totally changed. And next thing you know,
grounded,
I really enjoyed it. And to be honest with you, I've not thought about anything related to breathing machines since I was in here. And you got chills, and you were so excited, so it was a little weird, but then it was blissful. It was wonderful. It really was a magical. So I'm having all these magical moments that are just beyond massage. You also do craniosacral. What is that?
I do. It's a gentle realignment of the cranial bones in the head, just using a very specific pattern of flexion and extension diagnostics to see where the bones in your skull that are supposed to be moving all day are getting stuck. Mm-hmm. So let me back up, because I get so excited about what I do because I love it, and I just ramble and get confused. But we have a system that's called the central nervous system. It's the head, the spine, the brain, the spinal cord. That is protected by cerebrospinal fluid. That fluid runs from the sacrum, which is the tailbone, all the way up to the head and then back down again with the rhythm of the ocean all day long. It matches the vibration of the earth. It connects us all. It's one of the, this system, the central nervous system, along with, the governing vessel, the central channel in traditional Chinese medicine, the Ida, the Sushumna, and the Pingala nadis, these are all energetic channels that run from the top of the head to the base of the tailbone. It is a very important part of us because it is the first anything that formed on our bodies when we were in the womb.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just crucial to take care of it and to listen to ourselves in this way. I use craniosacral therapy as a doorway because when I feel somebody's pattern here and here, down here and here, it shows me a map of the body in ways that I see things lighting up, and I know where I need to go next for that unwinding to occur for their greatest homeostasis, their balance. So I feel this rhythm, and I feel the bones moving into flexion and extension, and there's a way that we hold and realign everything so that you can think better, function better, because when our central nervous system is blocked or challenged or not mobilizing in its fullest potential, that affects the rest of our body.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really important to take care of that and to make sure that we're open and aligned, and chiropractors take care of the spine in a much more physical, much more aggressive modality. That's not what I'm doing at all. But I think that it's also very valuable. We work together a lot in this. So it's, and there are also chiropractors that practice craniosacral therapy as well. But anyway, we're talking about craniosacral therapy because
just as another modality that you do.
Oh, right, of course.
Something else that you do.
Sorry.
And something else that we experienced when I came to see you at first, and I'm not too sure how many of you out there have had this, but when you have an emergency surgery, doctors are not caring about, let me make sure she's positioned nicely on the table. They're flipping your arms back. They're basically just hyperextending your shoulders, and a lot of times people can end up with brachial plexus injuries. And I have my line, my scar. There's my scar, as we're talking about. Scars are beautiful right there. I ended up with a somewhat numb arm from a line that went in here, and I ended up with a frozen shoulder. Also, I had when I first came to see you, which has taken almost 2 years before it's not fully healed, but it got there. And I know that you had said you had a lot of experience with frozen shoulder work as well. So for people that have had this surgery, massage would also be beneficial.
Absolutely.
Just in getting the body to slowly move.
Absolutely.
And being able to lay down while doing it.
Slowly opening things up.
Mm-hmm.
Releasing that myofascial adhesion.
Which we've worked on too as well. We've worked on the
allowing,
scars.
It's just putting things in the body, arranging the body in a way that it can unwind itself.
Mm-hmm.
Supporting the body in a way that you can heal yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's our innate ability, it's our birthright to be able to sustain ourselves.
It's like you're doing a reset back to neutral.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it's like.
I'm working with you, not
Right.
on you.
And I think that's the I think a lot of people, when they go to a spa, are going to have a service performed on them.
That's like going to a hospital.
It's true. But when you go, if you go with a different mindset, we're hiring you, and we are working together. It's working in tandem.
Well, I consider myself to be a therapist, and because I have other training, I like to give people homework because I'm here for support. I'm here to do my everything that I can in every moment that I have somebody on my table to facilitate their greatest balance and healing. It's all about them while we're in that session. I have no thoughts in my mind other than what's going on with them. And for me, that's extremely healing because my brain gets time off.
Yeah,
I get to, you know.
But I hear you deep breathing. I hear.
Oh yeah,
I hear
got
you
my
doing hard work.
Pranayama is another thing that I send people home with. So breathing exercises, the yoga therapy. I can recommend different neurofascial process holding, which is a great and gentle way for us to process some of that emotional holding. So if you take your hand on your heart and then one hand on your back where your kidneys are, we can process hope and healing and love, as well as the shadow aspects of all those things, so the equal and opposite. And then kidneys house fear, resistance.
Didn't know that.
And then lungs for processing grief, but also joy.
Okay.
And then the opposite for the kidneys, I didn't say, would be courage and strength to move forward. But anyway,
I still have to learn.
I know there's so much to talk about. We need to get organized next time and have
we can go into a different section. This was just a general overview, but what I want is I'm seeing some comments here. I'm going to pull this a little bit closer. I want to be able to read some of the comments and questions that we've had here real quick. I'm going to try to give as many shout outs as I can. And let's see, we've got let's see, endorphins rock. Yep. Christy says that you exude peace. That's very sweet.
I love it. Thank you. Shanti.
Rick's here. Meg is enjoying. Meg, I told you, she's very much like you. The two of you would be best friends. Yes, Christy, I know some of us, we do have those nightmares. I'm glad you're feeling the love, Bill, and we feel empowered when we take the steps to help ourselves.
Yes,
that's another big one. That is a big one.
Amen. It is so empowering to be educated and wise and having the power to take care of ourselves and not feel like a slave to whatever, is holding us down. That's huge.
So Rick says he loves the Caribbean and has candles scented of the Caribbean spice. It makes his apartment very relaxing. What's in some of those spices, you think?
That absolutely makes sense because it's that, I can't think of the word. When you smell something nostalgic, it's that nostalgic feeling. It's that brain chemistry that's triggering, that sends, the feeling to the rest of the body. Oh, this is the Caribbean. I feel relaxed.
I guess I've done guided imagery as part of like my EMDR therapy, and the happy, positive place that she says to pick, I usually pick. We'll pick the islands, or I pick a palm tree and the ocean. That's just where I go, and then that's what I usually think of when I'm hearing Enya music play. And so I would be right there with Rick. If I smelled that, I would automatically be de-stressed. Christy says she makes it. Oh, you can start now sending all of your questions to us. We'd love to hear from you and start making giving you answers. But Christy makes a spritz that she keeps with her for relaxation, anti-anxiety, and sanitizing, and she uses lavender, menthol, chamomile, peppermint.
Beautiful. And a carrier.
Very good. And a carrier.
Beautiful.
Oh, and Meg just tried acupuncture for the first time.
That's awesome.
That's great.
Traditional Chinese medicine, I didn't really talk a whole lot about because I practice acupressure, which is a very gentle touch to stimulate the acupoint. Acupuncture is like a whole other ballpark as far as education goes, and I'm probably going to do that eventually, Karen. But that's also based on the 5 elements, and it's something that is huge in people's healing. I don't practice it, but as a patient, I love receiving acupuncture. It is something that I've been doing since I was 7.
Okay.
And I was a competitive gymnast. It helped me to stay present, rebalance my body. I also suffered from like ADD and that was, an alternative therapy to the Ritalin.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm all about any alternative therapy.
Yeah, I can't say enough great stuff about traditional Chinese meds.
Meg says she had Reiki in the hospital post open heart surgery, and it was very relieving.
Yeah, I love that hospitals are bringing in Reiki practitioners. It's, like I said, complementary, and it can't do any harm. It's not like you're going to get a bad Reiki treatment and you're going to go home and have like some weird side effect. There's no side effects in this stuff, folks. It's
That's
all
true.
good.
The only side effect is good. It's goodness.
But the only thing, that being said, that can come up is what I said earlier. Things come up so that they can leave. And just like any kind of a detox, it's not always going to be pleasant. So when we have these emotional, turbulent things coming up in session, it's not going to be pleasant. But it's coming up so that it can leave, so that it can detox, so that you can heal and be free of those shackles.
Mm-hmm. Every time I'm with you, I feel free of my shackles. This is a good one.
Is the way to be.
Jamie's talking about caretakers and how maybe we could use some of these techniques to keep their own positive energy up when they have to care for their loved ones, and that is something that we didn't address. And I completely agree with you. As a caretaker, you need to experience your own therapy.
I work on a lot of caretakers. I do. We tend to slip into a place where we try to take on other people's stress. And to talk about, codependency just a little bit, it's just important to take care of ourselves first before we take care of others, because if we're depleted, we won't be able to give what they need, and that's not serving anybody. And when we take on somebody else's stress, I understand, I'm a healer, like I want to just take everybody's pain away, and I don't want anybody to hurt. I want everybody to be happy and free and whatever, but it takes patience, it takes hard work. Everybody's on their own personal journey here. And the best thing that we can do as caregivers and supports is to be present, respectful, mindful, and supportive. Mm-hmm. All we can do is love people.
And those caretakers should get their own therapies too. Their own hands-on therapies.
Yeah,
from
big
a
time.
therapist like you. So Meg says she'd like to hear Katie discuss ways to communicate with our bodies in order to facilitate healing in the now moment. Something that folks can take home with them tonight as homework.
Okay. So I also practice meditation. Mm-hmm. And over the years, I've sort of gotten deeper and deeper and deeper. I started with guided meditation. Somebody recommended, because I was healing some PTSD, like a guided meditation that took you through a journey of the heart and helped you to release some stuff, and that was really beautiful and healing. And then another thing that I used after that, I discovered the center point technology, which is called holosync therapy, and you pretty much listen to the headphones again, and these people have somehow matched the brainwave with what is going on in the song, and it just sounds like gentle rainfall and like gongs and pretty stuff, but man, I always had like a really good meditation. That on the beach was like...
Now, what is that called again?
Oh, that's holosync, center point technology.
Holosync, center point technology.
Yeah, that's a really good thing to do if you're not quite there yet with the silent meditation. Another thing to do is go to a group meditation. Mm-hmm. That's another thing that I'm going to be doing in the community very, very soon. I want to start community meditation groups. And I'm going to bring in my healing, my Tibetan bowls, my crystal bowls. Yes, I've
experienced that before, and that's very interesting.
I really want to start doing more of that. I had an amazing experience in Berlin, Maryland with Chrissy at Zena, and she did something powerful for that community down there, and I saw how much bliss walked out of the studio after she did that, and it's so inspiring, and I just can't wait to get my hands on some more bowls and to get people in that mindset of unity within our own diversity. But the vibration of the bowls matches also a brainwave and a healing pattern that's resonant in the different organ systems and the different chakra systems in the body. But the best thing, and this is why I saved it for last, because that's what I discovered now, is that silent meditation is where it's at. I'm wearing some mala beads right now. There are 108 mala beads on each necklace, and I'm making these also. And you go around the entire necklace with your eyes closed. You inhale, you exhale, you inhale, you exhale, and you just keep going around each bead, and this is your timer. You can also use a mantra with the mala beads, and that's an excellent way to bring whatever the vibration of the mantra or your personal intention for that meditation might be into your awareness and your consciousness for that day.
That would really be helpful, because I've tried to do silent meditation and my mind just talks too much.
You need something physical to keep you grounded, right?
I can do it with music, but that really seems like would be beneficial. So what I'm hearing would be great for people just to take home would be maybe be practicing their breathing and doing some meditation, or the holosync.
Yeah, holosync is just a technology
to listen to, and
it's pretty cool. I would look into it, but there's a ton of stuff out there online. One of the other things that I can't speak highly enough about is not quite meditation, not quite sleep, not quite yoga. Well, it is, because we're dealing with the subtle energy of the body and consciousness. Yoga Nidra. Yoga Nidra allows us to unravel our samskaras, the stress that we come into this earth with, our karma.
We're going to have to do a whole topic about yoga and stuff. We will definitely get into that. Only because I want to get to some of the... I'm seeing all these questions keep popping up, but we will definitely get into that. Jody is asking, she's having surgery this September, and she says, as I know about my aneurysm, she has the luxury of choosing when to do surgery. Would it be beneficial to do yoga, massages, aromatherapy prior to surgery, just to prepare her body and mind and spirit beforehand?
I would recommend less is more. Subtle energy only. You don't want to increase too much circulation here, because we're dealing with the gentle, cardio system in the brain. We're dealing with really, really fragile blood vessels here. You don't want to do any extreme yoga practice at a studio where they don't know your symptoms, so they don't know your situation. As a yoga teacher, all I can do is the best that I can see my students are doing and guiding them into the poses, but it's really hard to see through, the physical body that there's some stuff going on there that needs to be protected.
Could somebody maybe build up their immunity or their strength through aromatherapy? That seems to be something that I wouldn't think someone needs a doctor's approval for, and they're not physically touching their body in any way or manipulating. Maybe just some aromatherapy you could recommend that I guess you could probably put on your temples or your wrists. What would be some aromatherapy that she could use?
I would say the lavender. Mm-hmm. The lavender. Because like I said, it's opening the heart, it's healing the heart, and it's relaxing, bringing a feeling of bliss. Mm-hmm. That's, what we want at the end of the day is that feeling of bliss. It's the highest vibration word out there, folks. Bliss, bliss, bliss. And bliss. You are bliss. I am bliss. You are bliss. Mm-hmm. We are all just, bliss bunnies.
Yeah, we are, clearly. So, just because I've had you here for a long time, I can't believe it's going really well.
Like it.
Oh, we have Amanda saying she loves her essential oils. I know I know Greg loves essential oils. I'm not too sure if he's on here. Does anybody else have anything else that you want to ask regarding massage therapy, Reiki, meditation, yoga, oils, and we've just kind of generally covered so much here today.
I know.
If anybody has any questions, now's your countdown to ask, and if we don't get to it, I'd love for you to be able to send it to us, and then I can have Katie answer it for you. But Jody says she's been given the green light to do any cardio by her cardiologist. All right,
Okay,
well,
cool.
I think all of that that your doctor has suggested seems great, but hey, it never fails to get a massage before you go in. I just am a big supporter. I can't help it. I love it. I already feel de-stressed when I know I get to come here. And it is true. It's all the senses. It's listening to the music. I smell the aromatherapy. I feel the touch. I can hear. So I can hear, smell. The only thing I'm not doing is tasting anything. But that's really the only thing I'm not doing. But I can eat a biscotti afterwards.
Maybe we can get you a fruit snack.
Maybe something.
Then we'll have all the fun
There is
senses.
there is that ultimate facial that they do here where you almost could taste the product that's being used, but other than that, you are pretty much covering all the senses. So I'm not seeing any. Oh wait a minute, here we go. There's a couple things. Oh, next time, Christy. Good news is you don't need your notepad because this is going to be going on our website forever underneath of our videos, so you'll be able to review this anytime you want. Any recommendations for specific types of yoga for beginners from Amanda?
Yeah, a beginner yoga class. I would really recommend doing something in studio. The tapes are really great, but you really want to make sure that you have a teacher who's able to address your form and giving you the specific verbiage that we use in a yoga class. It can be a little intimidating if you go into a class that everybody seems to know what they're doing but you. But part of that is also that everybody is also there for themselves and they're all minding their own mat and, everybody's there for their own journey. So don't let a studio scare you so much from trying something new just because there's other people there that might see you doing something for the first time. It's first time for everybody. And then if you're in a beginner's class, you're going to be instructed slowly and mindfully to learn how to feel your body in new ways and use new muscles that maybe you haven't used in a while. I know
Now,
that's
what
what I
if-
love to do.
Now, I had mentioned to you beforehand, so personally for me, I can't bend over, can't crouch. I just lose sensation in my leg and I feel like I'm going to pass out. So is that something that you would recommend you just discuss with the practitioner beforehand? They can help you modify moves because everybody raves about yoga. And while I could probably do some things standing up, there's a lot that I feel like I wouldn't be able to do.
You would be a great candidate for a private yoga session.
Okay, so for me it would be more private
Yeah.
because then we could tailor everything.
Yeah, and we can talk about that.
We will
because
talk
that's
about
what
it.
I do.
Okay, guess I'm signing up for something else. We did get another. Marilyn asks, any ideas on how not to stress at work?
Yes, absolutely. Deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. Coming back into the moment, feeling your feet, grounding with both feet on the floor, and just coming into a place of stillness in your mind. You can also carry your essential oils to your work and just use that as another tool. You can go in the bathroom where nobody's really going to bother you and just take a moment to scan through your body. Notice where your stress is going. Do a couple shoulder rolls. Do a couple neck rolls. I see people with tight right here all the time. Tight chest, tight shoulders. And that's why we have, back, neck, and shoulder issues because we're pulling forward. Because we're like this all the time. Or like this all the time. Or like this all the time.
Or like this all the time.
Right. Doing thumb yoga. And, we have to open our chests. We have to open our hearts mindfully and gently. But doing one of the things that I always recommend after I notice that pattern in people, which is 98% of my clients have this issue, is the hunching forward because it's chronic in our culture. And the energetic part of that is, we're protecting our hearts because it's so scary out there now, and to open your heart is to be vulnerable, and oh my gosh, what's going to happen if I'm myself? But anyway, pin below or above the clavicle with your fingertips, avoiding the center, of course, because that's a very delicate part of the vasculature, and then just looking up and over, playing with the tilt and the tuck of your head, opening up all of this beautiful musculature and vasculature gently, okay? Using your fingertips to pin the pec muscles and all these other muscles that are related to the face and the neck. You know, that's just adding more sensation, changing the pressure, just ever so slightly. And if you do it in the shower, you can let the water hit your neck while you're doing it and stimulate some lymphatic drainage while you're at it.
It's almost like seated yoga.
It is.
It sounds like.
It is. Mudras, another thing to do. This, if you're at work. If you don't feel like you can roll your neck, this is another way to just kind of restart. So starting with the thumb and the pointer finger and going through, it's kind of a Kundalini meditation. Satanama is actually what you think in your head while you're doing it, and that's a lot deeper, and that's another discussion completely again. But that's another thing that you can do. You know, I do this while I'm walking to the bathroom. I do this while I'm walking down the hall to meet you guys, to reset and realize that everything in life is a cycle, and we're all on our journey individually, but we're all connected at the same time. So just to kind of get back into that space of awareness that we're all one, even though we're all totally unique in our own special way. So
I have to just let you know, because my son is here with me today.
He's so relaxed.
He's snoring on the sofa. I'm gonna just turn it because this is just fun. Yep. He is so relaxed in this spa environment.
Just hearing
and listening
us
to
talk about relaxation.
He's falling asleep and he's snoring. It's hysterical. All right, we've taken up a lot of Katie's time. Thank you so much for participating. This was really great. We got some great insight, great questions. We're going to put out a questionnaire, I think, to ask about what subtopics we can really get into and focus on one of these at some point. And
next time let's be more organized.
Maybe I'll have you over and you can show me how to do yoga without doing downward dog. Maybe you can show me how to do some meditation. Maybe we can do something to take somebody through, and we'll get into some additional topics. But this was great. Thank you so much. I do want to say we are giving as a thank you to Katie an Aortic Hope t-shirt. So thank you so much. Connecting hearts one beat at a time. And I'm giving her another gift that I'm not going to show you because it's still a surprise. So we'll hide that down here because nobody knows. They're going to be getting some of these in the mail. So just take a peek at that.
Oh, I love it. Oh,
see?
My gosh.
That's why you should
I'm
sign
use
up
this
for
every day.
You should sign up for Hope Mail because now you'll get what she gets.
It's a secret, but it's wonderful.
Thank you again, Katie, so much. This was such a joy. I would give her a hug and a kiss, but I feel so sick. But thank you guys. I look forward to seeing you again doing this next month, and we'll talk to you all soon. Take care.
Thank you guys so much. I'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.